waiting for T Money.
All right, what's good, everybody? We're about to start the weekly live trading session here. Just give me 1 second. Let me make sure all the audio and everything is good. All right, audio's good. So last week was a rangy week, and there was not a lot of news that took place. So caused this ultimately for me caused a bunch of initially what was good trades turned into bad trades just because there wasn't a lot of direction and there wasn't a lot of news to move price in different directions. So as you can see, this week's candle is within last week's candle's range. So there was no like massive movements. There was no low taken or no high taken within this period. So the next thing that we're looking into next week, especially since we have a more high impact news week, for instance, on Tuesday, 1 second. For instance, on Tuesday, we're going to be having a CPI. CPI is going to be coming out on Wednesday. There's not that much high impact news that's going to be happening on Wednesday. On Thursday, there's also going to be PPI coming out, which is going to be high impact. And then Friday, there will also be some more high impact news. So Monday is probably not going to be a trading day just because there's not going to be a lot of movement. But if there is opportunity, we'll obviously trade. But if not, then that is what it is. So ideally, because we have last week's high and last week's low, both, like I said, have not been taken. The first thing that we're going to mark out, which is probably going to be the first draw that we have for next week, is this high right here from last week. Let me edit this real quick. So this is most likely going to be our first draw for going into next week. Ideally, we might just take this high and then move lower and eventually go and take the lows. But initially, things are looking bullish from right here. And if we put a fair value gap right here as well from, this was formed on Thursday and this was Friday. So ideally we might see this come back. This is also a all-time high right here at last week's high. So we're going to be at all-time highs. Relatively, two things could happen from this is either we go up and we take the high on this draw right here and then bounce back down and continue to reach for new all-time highs, or we go up, we take this high, and then we start inching down to take these lows and then move back up. So there's two different plays that can happen from that. But ideally, going into Monday, we might want to, just depending, we have to wait until price develops a little bit more to figure out what we're going to do. But Monday, we will most likely reach for these highs. And let's see, how many points away is that? 65. This was at 841. So there could be a long play. Depending if price shoots back down into this fair value gap, this will be a better entry, aiming up for these all-time highs and then going from there. Or another play that would be potential, just depending on when this happens, is once these highs are taken, having a short play going back down to this imbalance or going down to the lows to capture that. So those are the two potential plays. Last week overall, looking at like the daily chart and just other things, like I said, we were all within this range. Each day didn't have like any like real clear direction on where things were going, just because we're in a pullback. And some of the plays that I just made throughout this week, just because there was no high impact news drivers, it's just very very rangy, and there wasn't really no clear plays that I could make from that. So next week, ideally, I'm going to be bullish starting off, and then probably, just depending on if price expands from here or if it takes the high and then retraces, will be our outlook on how we're going to be playing the rest of the week. But mainly, like I said before, the days to look out to trade that would probably give the best opportunities is going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday, there's not a lot going on, and Monday, there's not a lot going on. So you just got to kind of play the market and let it see what it's going to give us on those days, and then move forward from there. So that's pretty much it for this week's video on the charting session. It's very simple. There's not a lot to really go over, but this is kind of like what my idea will be, is see how price reacts on Monday, see if we end up taking out last week's high and go into the highs and either expand, or we're going to retrace back into these imbalances. Either way, there'll be opportunity for a good short or a good long from this point. So that is it for today's charting session, and I will see you guys going into Monday, and we'll be starting the challenge to see the challenge for me to get funded on Top Step and start expanding my portfolio from that point. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys going into this week.